Well, Chandler, we have a lot to get into this week. The first is that Ariana Madix, a lot of people were saying we don't know enough about your breakup with Tom Sandoval. They're really just, we don't know enough. We don't know enough about this relationship. We haven't talked about this enough as a
Wait,
society, as a culture.
people were not saying that.
Yeah, that's what happened. And so Ariana got together with Penguin Classics and they are releasing a book about this breakup. No one was saying that. However, regardless, Ariana Madix is finally, Chandler, ready to share her side of Scandival because
Oh
apparently
my
we have
gosh.
not heard it. On Friday, the Vanderpump Rules star announced that she'll soon release a book about the destruction of her nearly decade-long romance with Tom
Wow.
Sandoval due to his affair with Rachel Leviss. So this is what her Instagram caption was. She said, "These last few months have been a whirlwind, and though I'm in a better place now, having my personal devastation unfold so publicly was painful. Through all the rumors and crazy headlines, everyone had their own hot take on what happened, and I'll be forever grateful for those who continue to support me through all of it. But now is the time that I'm fully telling my side of the story.
Wow.
Bartending will always be my thing, and my new book, Single as Fuck Cocktails, is my breakup album, the story of our relationship and the betrayal that ended it all told through drinks." Chandler,
Wow. What a
were you,
concept.
what a concept. Were you interested in a tale of love and betrayal told through mixology, specifically the tale of Tom and Ariana?
No. Let's just say I wasn't yearning for that. In fact, even after we recorded our last Patreon, I was like, I've talked about these people far too much. Like I need to clear space in my brain. I need to use some sage and I just need to move forward with my life. Can I tell you what this book is giving me?
Yes, please.
I mean this with all due respect to Ariana. I hope she's getting a huge, what is it called? Advance. I hope she's getting a big check for this. But this book is giving 70% off at Barnes and Noble in a year from now.
This shit is on TJ Maxx clearance. Like it's like one of the things you
Literally.
can pick up on the way to the
Mm-hmm.
checkout.
Mm-hmm.
Chandler, you are absolutely correct. Barnes and Noble clearance. I don't think that they're going to have enough space for all the inventory of
No.
this book.
Also, I would just love a book about the breakup and their relationship or being on VPR. I don't need the mixology part of it. Like, I know someone pitched that to her and they're like, this is genius, but I don't need the recipe book.
It's just so contrived. And I think that it speaks to, on some level, sometimes the poor business acumen of some of these celebrities
Mm-hmm.
or these reality stars, because really, she should be doing something that's e-commerce. People can buy immediately. It can ship now. They can click on that Instagram link. It's not pre-ordering a book for holiday. It's buying it now. And I think that honestly, like the sandwich shop, this book release,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to be pre-ordering this book. As a woman trying to support a woman, I get it. Cash in all you can, Ariana. Go you. But I just don't know that I need, the story of their, she calls it their breakup album. Her breakup album is this Single AF Cocktails book.
Yeah, I
If
don't
you're
think
thinking
so
of getting me
either.
something for Christmas, skip by this, please. Okay, can we move on to something else?
Yes, please.
Another topic.
Mm-hmm.
So, Heather Dubrow, our
Mm-hmm.
queen, okay? Queen
Yeah.
of, she loves a designer label. She loves a syringe of Botox, this fine
Mm-hmm.
woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what else she loves, Chandler? A syringe of
What?
Ozempic, okay? Um,
Whoa.
she isn't saying that she's on Ozempic,
Yeah.
but she has come out very pro Ozempic. And I recently have been giving the big O a lot of thought. I've been thinking about Ozempic, semaglutide. How do you pronounce it? Do you know?
Semaglutide? Semaglutide?
Semaglutide. I'm going
Smoglitude.
to refer to semaglutide as semaglutide for the rest of the episode,
She
just
has
for fun.
trouble with words.
So anyway, so this is what Heather had to say about it. She says, "I'm over this whole Ozempic shaming thing. I'm also over people asking, are you on Ozempic? Would anyone ask someone if they're on a beta blocker, if they're on statins for their cholesterol? Why are people asking for people's private medical information?" She says that it seems to be working wonders for people with diabetes and also for weight loss. And she says, "I think it's going to end up being like Botox." And she basically tells a story of how when Botox first came out,
Mm-hmm.
she was doing an interview with Us Weekly, and they said, "What's the craziest thing in your fridge?" And she said, "Botox, actually." And
Yeah.
people were like freaking out, like, "Oh my gosh, Botox." I don't know. Do you remember when Botox first came out? how, like,
Maybe?
taboo
I
it
don't know.
was. You might have
Yeah.
been in preschool. But when Botox first came out, there was a lot more, like, shame and weirdness around
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And now Botox is so common. I feel like getting Botox is like nothing. Like people get it all
Right.
the time. It's like getting your nails done almost at this point.
Right,
There's
right.
no shame around it. And what she's saying is she thinks that Ozempic will be just like that. Like in
Mm,
5 or 10 years, it'll be so common to have gone on Ozempic, to do it for a
right.
short course, to be on it. And that, shaming people is really kind of being on the wrong side of history.
Lauren, I had some initial judgmental thoughts about Ozempic, and I want you to know that I am now standing on the right side of history, and I'm on the same page as Heather Dubrow.
Yeah, I think you and I both on this podcast were saying how, like, you should really try to lose weight naturally. And, it just seems like a shortcut. And we were both kind of judgmental biatches on this show.
Yeah.
And we were rightfully put in our place.
Honestly, you know what changed my mind? I know a few people who have done it,
Oh,
and it's
really?
changed their
Okay.
life. And they and
Yeah.
I've apologized to them for being judgmental.
Yeah, I think that yeah, I had this funny moment where I remember thinking like, people should really they should try to just eat only whole foods and see where their body lands, right? Like if you've truly only eaten food God created for
Mhm.
6 months and you still are not landing in a place that you feel like is healthy for you, then maybe it's time for a medical intervention.
It's literally the Serena Joy, like, diet. You should only eat foods God has created for you in the Garden of Eden.
You should enter the Garden of Eden and only pick fruit from the tree. We are living in a fallen world, and it's my biblical divine diet that I want to discuss. Actually, everyone can pre-order my book, The Divine Diet.
The Divine Diet, gorgeous. That will absolutely be 70% off at Barnes& and Noble. That's actually gonna be, like, everything must go. It's buy one, get one free of God's diet or whatever.
But here's my thing. Then I realized, Chandler, when have I ever been able to go 6 months only eating
Literally.
things
Right.
divinely created, only eating, fruit from the trees and leaves from the
Mhm,
grasses
mhm.
and meat from that which roams the earth? Like, I've never been able to
Right.
completely cut off myself from deliciousness, from processed foods, from unhealthy food for a really long period of time. And to be honest with you, anytime I've ever really been very strict with myself, it's created a lot of disordered habits
Right.
where I've binged, and it's just been very hard for me
Yep.
to have a healthy relationship with food when I'm being so strict about what I'm eating. To me,
Mhm.
honestly, almost like the most mentally healthy way for me to approach food is in a casual way.
Yep.
So anyway, so I thought that it was actually really unself-aware to have that even thought process, like to try
Right.
to offer that kind of wisdom, because I've never even been able to do that.
I completely agree, and I think I'm glad you had that moment of self-reflection. What really helped me understand this medication a lot more was reading people's accounts of taking it and the
Mhm.
way that they talked about how it affected their mental state with food. I think to me was where a switch flipped and I was like, this is amazing. This is an amazing drug. Basically, a lot of people just talk about how it sort of turns off their food noise, and I think that is the ultimate food neutrality and almost like intuitive eating when food doesn't have this crazy power over you and your mental state. And I think that is what this drug does for a lot of people, and I think that is wonderful and powerful. And if you're working under the care of a doctor and the doctor says it's okay for you to take it, you should take it, and I think we should stop judging people.
Yeah. I was listening to Claudia Oshry I was listening to the Toast Patreon account, and she was talking about her experience taking it, and she was also talking about how genetics is essentially the number one cause of obesity.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that really people who are naturally thin just have like no place whatsoever, or naturally whatever, where they want to be. They have no place whatsoever telling people whether they should or shouldn't, because they actually, like, I personally have no idea what it's like to eat everything I want and land in a place that's dramatically outside where I'd like to be. Like my
Mhm.
body just
Mhm.
operates within a certain 10 pounds, and that's kind of it for me. Like weight is so genetic. And so if you can have something that is going to turn off that food chatter. I mean, one of the things she talked about, speaking about food chatter, she was saying that like her brain was constantly thinking about what's she going to eat for breakfast? What's
Mhm.
she going to eat for lunch? What's she going to eat for a snack? How much of it
Mhm.
is she going to eat?
Mhm.
And honestly, like, I just really don't deal with that. I think it's been a long time since I've had a lot of food noise.
Yeah,
The only times when I had food noise was when I was really restricting myself, and then I would
totally.
kind of, like, go crazy in my head because I wanted certain things and I wouldn't let myself have them. So anyway, yeah, kind of a long-winded way of saying that I have no place to judge, and honestly, I have another thing to say, okay? We don't know the super long-term impacts of this drug are, right? Like, we don't know if 40 years down the road, what could happen.
I do think people have been on this drug though for years and years. It's not like
Yes,
it's a newly developed thing that just, I think
for
it's just
sure.
now acceptable for weight loss to be taken.
I believe that it's been out since 2012 for diabetes. So we don't know what the 30-year plus ramifications
Right.
are.
And there is a difference between Ozempic and semaglutide.
Okay. Well, my point being, essentially, we
Yeah.
do know the negative impacts of carrying a lot of excess weight. We do know how that negatively impacts your health. We do know how
Mhm.
that is actually something that, excess weight is the number one contributing cause to cancer, to heart disease, to the leading causes of death in the United States. So anyway, it's like, well, we definitely know that this thing isn't good for you.
Right.
So if
Right.
something can help you, you should do it. And
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So anyway, I'm pro the O.
Pro. I listened also to that Toast episode. It's actually on their Patreon, and I highly recommend everyone go listen to it because I think Lauren, a thing she brought up, and I think you and I talked about, there's a lot of experiences that people who, struggle with their weight go through. And there's a ton of fat phobia in like the world.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
she said something that like, I don't know, she said being I don't know if she used these words, but she said being like a bigger girl is one of the hardest things you can experience. And
Mhm.
as someone who's like struggled with her weight, I can understand that to the degree of my own experience. And
Yeah.
I guess I want to champion people doing anything that makes them feel better about themselves. Like period, full stop.
Honestly, hearing her talk about her experience really just opened my eyes to how
Yes.
I don't know anything about so much of these. I have no effing clue. I mean, she was
Mhm.
talking about how, if she was going to a certain place, like if I'm going to New York and I just don't have the right pair of pants and I need to go shopping when I'm there, I can reliably count on the fact that I can just get clothes wherever I am. She
Right.
was like, it was so stressful for me to go
Mhm.
places
Mhm.
and have no confidence that I could get clothes if I needed to.
Well, it's like in the logistics. It's just harder.
The sheer
Yeah.
logistics. And then how about just like the everyday comfort in your body? Like she talked about how it was hard for her to, or how she never crossed her legs
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
And she
Yeah.
always thought that that was just like not what she did. But that was
Yep.
just because it was difficult for her to.
Right.
I mean, there's
Right.
so many just everyday experiences. Also, I think the thing that sorry, I'm kind of getting soapboxy, but the thing that drives me crazy is like what you said. There's so much fat shaming, fat phobia, especially
Mhm.
from men, especially from
Yes.
young, metabolically healthy men who can eat
Or
anything in
honestly,
sight.
men of all ages, I'll say it.
Men of all ages, men who are just used to being able to eat anything in sight and then have no ramifications, not carry any
Mhm.
body fat. It is just like the fat phobia of men like that towards especially overweight women is so abhorrent.
It's
And having to
awful.
deal with those awful comments, those awful
Mhm.
attitudes. I mean, also, it's so much harder to get employment, to,
Right.
I think there's
There's a
statistics that show
total
you get paid
bias.
less. Yes, there's a total
Yeah.
bias.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So I just think that we should just be like singing the praise of Big Pharma creating this because honestly, like if there's something that can reduce all this suffering and then also all the disease that being overweight contributes to, that's incredible. Like that is the best thing that has ever happened to our country, essentially.
I could not agree more. And I think if you have a reaction to people taking this drug, which I did initially, I think it's an opportunity to maybe look inward and think about the way you ascribe virtue to people who are thin and people who struggle with their weight. Because, I think in our society, we see people who are thin as more disciplined, who are
Mhm.
smarter or, or just more virtuous because
Mhm.
they are thin. And I think that people can think of people who are overweight as lazy, unmotivated, and there's just so much more to the picture. There's a great article in the New Yorker called "Will the Ozempic Era Change How We Think About Being Fat and Being Thin?" And this to me was another watershed moment with how I thought about people taking Ozempic, because I think we hold a lot of judgment for people who are overweight and we give a lot of virtue to people who are thin. And there's more
Well,
to it.
I think there's also a deeper conversation also about how we ascribe a lot of virtue to people with symmetrical, beautiful features. The human conflation of beauty and virtue is such a strange
Right.
impulse. Studies show that even children gravitate towards people that have a certain level of physical beauty. And sometimes I'll catch myself, like I'll be watching a show and I'm like, oh, I don't really like her. And then I realize, like, do I not like her because I just don't love looking at her? Like
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
I've thought that.
Yeah.
And why do I like this one that I think it also happens to just be so pretty? I do think it's a very human quality and it's a very big
Mm-hmm.
failing that we somehow find ourselves just liking people who we like looking at and instinctively disliking people who we dislike looking at.
Right.
Like,
Right.
what
Right.
a failure of the
Yep.
human brain. And anyway,
I think that I'll say that it's a very human thing to maybe have these reactions and these preconceived notions or these sort of like deeper judgments, but it's just an opportunity for growth and for, you to evolve. So I invite everyone to do that.
and finally, to put a cap on the Ozempic thing, I just think that there's a lot of headlines about like, oh my gosh, this person, their stomach developed this like crazy side effect. The vast majority of people have little to no side effects and are doing great. And like, don't let like scaremongering headlines impact whether you get in the driver's seat of your health. Essentially, don't let like fear, because it's going to generate more clicks for USA Today to put out some headline about how Ozempic is actually doing all these crazy bad things. Like, really actually read the research and listen to your doctor. And I don't know, I love how now I'm giving medical advice, but I just think it's kind of a miracle and it's an awesome thing that we have, and I will definitely do it someday when the day comes that I struggle with my weight, because I just think that's something that happens to everyone throughout their life at some point.
Also, everyone, also sheeple, wake up. The diet industry is $1 billion industry. They want you to continue yo-yo dieting and taking raspberry ketones or whatever the hell
Wait,
is the
it's
new
so true.
thing. That they don't want you to have this one and done or, potentially like life-saving medication. They want you to continue yo-yo dieting and trying a bunch of new things.
Also, and now I'm just giving straight medical advice. If you
We're
struggle with
doctors.
alcoholism, I am a doctor. I do have a medical degree in in the poetry
Philosophy.
of the body. And this is what I want to say. If you struggle with anything that's really compulsive, that you have a very compulsive, gambling, online gambling. I know someone, they gambled away 300 grand, okay? Online
Holy
gambling
shit.
recently. I know, and devastated some dreams of their family. My only point being, honestly, if you struggle with alcoholism or something that's really debilitating your life, here's my other opinion. Why wait 10 years, 10 important years for the FDA to come tell you that this
Right.
is now approved for this thing? Like, we know that it basically just curbs all kinds of like manic compulsive thoughts. So I think that it's okay to be your own physician and advocate.
One more thought, and I know we've said last thing 18 times. I do think that where people are taking issue and where I do validate is when people are posting workout type material and clearly there's been a dramatic weight loss and they are just claiming that it was just from, they decided to walk 9 miles a day or whatever. Mindy Kaling, yeah, let's name some names, has now just said, "Oh, I just, work out more." And I think that is
Mhm.
where it's like you're lying to people. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but you're lying to people by saying, "I've lost weight because I have just worked out more."
I totally agree with you.
I have a topic I want to talk about.
Please.
Jack Antonoff, Margaret Qualley's
Mm.
wedding happened this weekend. Did you see?
I mean, I know Taylor Swift went to something this weekend. I was paying a lot of attention to her walking in a certain like parking lot in New Jersey. Is that where she was?
Let's talk about our demure queen walking in We did find out the brand of the dress she was wearing to the rehearsal dinner, which was
which was
Hill House, I think.
Hill House Home. This woman, she loves a demure eyelet off the shoulder vibe.
Yes.
This woman loves a prairie on a budget vibe.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know how we got here with Taylor Swift, but that's her style. She loves an innocent eyelet from Madewell, and we love this queen for it.
We love this queen. She had a little braid in her hair, then kind of a messy bun. She's never in full glam, I feel like. Unless she's like maybe at her concert. And I love her look.
No, I mean, I think Taylor Swift at her core, her aesthetic is cozy Tumblr 2012.
Yeah,
it has
totally.
been for a very long time. She likes a prairie farm girl vibe. She loves her natural hair color with her little braid. She loves an innocent, doe-eyed vibe.
At most, it's a red lip.
At most. She's very rarely vampy. You're right.
Absolutely. Enough about her fit. Let's talk about the chaos that ensued once she, set foot on the scene. If you have been living under a rock this weekend, you maybe did not see the photos and videos of the crowds that swarmed this Long Island, I think, restaurant that they were having this rehearsal dinner at. So basically, SUVs pull up, Taylor Swift walks in, there's photos, and videos of her walking into the restaurant. There's a crowd already. By, the time night falls, hours later, at the end of this rehearsal dinner, it looks like Coachella.
I mean, someone said it. It's Michael Jackson level. Like, she's the Michael Jackson of our time. She's the Beatles of our time. And no other celebrity commands this kind of fanfare. But let's just be honest. If you found out that Taylor Swift was in a 1 hour driving distance, I think 2 is a little long. But 1 hour driving, our ass is getting in the car and we are driving down. And we're going to stand on the sidewalk for even a glimpse of our ash-haired beauty.
Of our queen. It's funny, too, because Channing Tatum and his girlfriend, Zoe Kravitz, were also, like, right behind her. But, like, I just didn't even see them. They're, like, they're background characters. Background characters. Non-playing characters.
I'm curious, Shanna, what did you think about all the fanfare? Did you feel like, obviously this day is not about her. It's about that guy Jack and Margaret, his fiance. No, I'm just kidding. It's about Jack Antonoff and Margaret Qualley. Did you feel like Taylor Swift could have been more demure in her presence at this event?
I do. I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm not saying that she wanted attention. I do think there was potentially strategies where she could have literally, under some umbrellas and potentially a sheet, gone into this or pulled up to a back door. I'm not sure if this restaurant, was retrofitted for A-list celebrities, but I've got to believe that there was potentially a more inconspicuous way to attend and to arrive. She did do kind of like the full walk that she does, from the car to the studio that we've all seen. So, yeah, that being said, I'm not trying to say that she wanted all the attention, and maybe Jack and Margaret were okay with it. Maybe they're like, yeah, it's going to be fun fanfare. We want the crowds.
Yeah.
It's our day.
Yeah. I did see that she did go in through a back door to one of the events. I kind of think that if there is a garage, she would have pulled in. If there was a way to go in super inconspicuously, she would have. That is what I believe is in the heart of Taylor Swift. I think she gets plenty of attention. I agree with you. I don't think that she wants any more.
The one thing I will say, though, Lauren, okay?
What?
So, her apartment in New York, like how there's always crowds, and she's in that scene in Miss Americana, she's like, so this is my front door, okay?
Yeah.
She goes through that exit if she wants to be photographed. There is a back entrance that she can take.
Oh,
or exit
really?
that she can take, yes. Which is why I have a little bit of, maybe there was a more inconspicuous way, because she does both.
Okay. Obviously, this woman, she is not immune to wanting, she's a mega star. She wants the attention.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that she was after it on this event. Can I tell you something that's going to really stir the pot? Okay. It's going to be shocking. Her tits are looking real good. It's making me reconsider my no boob job stance.
Sister, whatever you want to do, I'm going to support.
And that little lace blue bustier, I was getting those Gaylor tingles.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I want CC numbers. I want the doctor's name and address. It's the perfect amount.
It's the Kendall Jenner boob job well before Kendall Jenner
Mhm.
went under the knife. It is
Yep.
just that perfect little pop. And you know what I'm also loving about Taylor right now? She's always walking around with a glass of wine. She's
Mm,
constantly pictured now with a glass of wine. I feel like she's very much in her like celebratory, I'm the queen of the world era.
good.
And I appreciate it.
She's given me permission to order a glass of ice with every glass of wine I get at a restaurant, and I happily do it. And this is pretty gross. Sometimes I do it even with red.
That is kind of gross. I
It
mean,
is gross, but I kinda like it. I don't know, I like it. I'll say it. I'm embarrassed, but I like it. I mean, obviously, it's better with white, but I kinda like red wine sometimes with I don't know, I like a chilly drink. I look like trash. I'm literally I have no vision, I have no taste. I don't have a leg to stand on when I criticize the VPR cast.
a chilled wine is so much better. Why can't we just normalize refrigerating red wine essentially?
Exactly that. It's exactly that. I don't want watered down wine, but I do want a chilled
I
situation.
want a chilled red wine in my glass that, guess what? Yes, it might come out a little too cold. Don't worry about it,
It's
Susan. In
fine.
20 minutes, it'll be the perfect temperature. And guess
Perfect.
what? I've gotten to sip and enjoy for
Mhm,
20 solid minutes.
mhm. Yep.
Yes, is if they bring it out at the perfect 55 degrees for a red, especially where I live in Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, Mexico, guess what? That's going to be swamp ass. Okay. I'm going to be
Right.
drinking a swampy beverage in
Literally
little
room
under
temperature,
30
lukewarm.
seconds. Yeah.
On this subject, very quickly, I
Yeah.
have been indulging, so I'm actually, like, drinking a little bit less right now
Yeah.
and, just trying to treat my body well. I'm
Okay.
going to Portugal, though. I'm definitely going to indulge,
Please
but
do.
I have been drinking a lot of non-alcoholic wines because I just like the ritual of, like, a beverage, and I
Okay. So you're
like
still on that
something.
train.
Yes, oh my gosh, yes, and it is so good.
Really?
They're also, like, low sugar, like, they're good for you. It's essentially just, like, kind of just like kombucha. I brought one even to, like, my celebration dinner last night. I've been very chill, but also everyone, today's my birthday. Um,
Happy
all
birthday, sis.
that being said, I've in the bathtub, I fill up a large wine glass with ice, okay? Then I
Okay.
pour whatever non-alcoholic wine I want into it, and then I take a bath and I read my Kindle and I sip on this chilly wine, and it is so delicious. It's a delightful experience, and anyone not enjoying this is living an unlived life.
Well, honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you,
Thank
I
you.
want that sip of wine. I want that wine moment a lot of the time, especially on a weekday, but I don't necessarily want anything beyond half a glass of a buzz at all. If
Totally.
honestly, if any buzz, like I
Yeah.
just want the ritual, but I can't even read once I'm a glass deep, I feel like.
And you know what it is? It's not even that I want something sweet. Like, I don't want juice. I don't want, like, something that's, like, too sickly sweet or,
Fully.
like, too indulgent. I want something that kind of makes me sip on it slower, which is why it
Hmm.
becomes a ritual, all
And
right?
there are ones that are good enough.
Literally, I can name 5. I would
Okay.
love to take everyone through my favorite non-alcoholic wines.
We should have 58 Ember reach out to these people to
Yes.
potentially do sponsorships.
I'll just say I won't even use the name because, I'm gonna play my cards closer to the chest. There's a place in my neighborhood. It's delicious, and I go there, and they are a little bit more expensive than I want them to be, but it's fine. Like, literally an entire bottle of wine there is, like, 150 calories or 200 calories.
Amazing.
It's
Yep.
crazy. It's amazing. Back to Taylor Allison Swift.
Yeah.
Do you think her and Margaret got into it
Like a
after
fight?
the fanfare? Yeah. Do you think Margaret was like, "This is my day"?
Actually, Chandler, thank you for bringing this up. I learned a lot about Margaret Qualley from her wedding looks. Okay.
Oh, yes, yes.
Margaret's vibe is very low key. Her haircut, even, is so not, look at me, look at me.
Mhm.
She might be low key that kind of girl, but this is her aesthetic is chill. But this is not a girl who, on the surface, ever wants to appear to be trying very hard at all.
No.
Her looks were very chill. Her wedding dress was very simple. Then she changed into like a very demure, basically what looked like a temple dress we could have worn to a beehive excursion to do baptisms for the dead. I don't think that Margaret came after Taylor for stealing the show or the spotlight.
I think so too. I think Margaret is a fascinating character. Do you wanna hear a little bit about, her life before Jack?
I would love to. Before we do that, though, Chandler, can we mention our sponsor for this month on the podcast?
Let's mention our sponsor because I'm dripping in our sponsor.
Okay, you got your tennis necklace. Can you please share your thoughts?
Oh, you
It's so
guys,
good, right?
it's so good. It's so beautiful. It's so indulgent and sparkly, but it's also subdued. And I wear it to the gym and I feel like a queen, but I also feel like a subdued queen, a demure queen. Okay. Like a Taylor Allison Swift.
It's like the perfect balance of, I would say, an everyday necklace. It is a staple, but it is such a skinny sliver of like the most intense white bright sparkle. The
Hmm.
diamond quality is really good.
I mean, look at me in it now. I haven't taken it off. I never want to take it off. It's so beautiful. Ben also loves it. Ben's
Really.
complimented me multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's something about it too where I'm in like pajamas, but I have this like these sparkles around my neck and I just feel
Mhm.
gorgeous. I feel gorgeous. It feels really feminine too. The diamond,
Mhm.
whatever, like marketing campaign the diamond industry has been, selling to us for hundreds of years, like is working because it feels like a little bit of like just added elegance to every single look that I'm in. And I
Mhm.
love that I never take it off.
It's that perfect pop of sparkle.
Yeah, honestly, I'm rambling because I love it so much. Also, I love my matching tennis bracelet that is very special and that you got for me. And it's the perfect little set and my life is complete. So,
It
thank
really is
you,
the perfect
Casita
set.
Jewelry.
I'm wearing the set too right now, the tennis bracelet and tennis necklace. So everyone, for the month of August, you can go to casitajewelry.com and get 30% off anything site wide. This includes charm bracelets, this includes the diamond tennis necklace and bracelet. Anything you want, 30% off site wide at casitajewelry.com through August 31st. Use code POPApologists. All right, so let's get into Chandler and Margaret Qualley. I want to talk more about her with you because I'm not going to lie to you. This woman is a little bit of an enigma to me. Okay. I know her as the leggy hot girl in the Brad Pitt movie, but that's basically all I know about her. So I would love for you to, share with me what our listeners need to know about Jack Antonoff's new bride.
Of course, I would happily love to, walk you through a little bit of about Margaret Qualley. I'm not going to take you, through her life because I actually think that might be a little bit boring. No offense to our girl, but she is a
Okay.
nepo baby. She's the daughter of Andy McDowell and a man whose last name is Qualley. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his first name. That's her
Is
dad.
he of note at all, or is he just like a rich guy who married an actress?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Andy McDowell, you would recognize her. I don't know what she's from, but
No, I
what is she
do.
from?
She's stunning, by the way.
Yes, she is.
She's absolutely gorgeous. I cannot say like, oh, what she's been in, but everyone would recognize her mom. So
Right,
she's won the
right.
genetic lottery for sure.
She absolutely has. And I want to touch on, a brief moment for Margaret, but a bigger moment in pop culture. And this moment is when she briefly dated Shia LaBeouf. Do you remember anything about this?
I know that Shia LaBeouf was basically outed as a major asshole, but I don't remember. I think there was like a litany of women that he basically abused, including FKA Twigs, right?
Yes, you're exactly correct. And let me just state, I'm not trying to rain on the union of Jack and Margaret by bringing up her exes, but I think it might be interesting for our listeners to, talk about this scandal that happened within the last 3 years because, it involves Margaret, but it's a bigger thing that happened. All right. So let's walk you through it. Is that okay?
Please. I would love that.
Okay. So also her dad's name is Peter Qualley. Like I said, doesn't matter. So before she met Jack Antonoff, she dated Shia LaBeouf. She's also dated other people, but this is one of her more notable exes. And this is when I actually first became aware of Margaret Qualley, was during this moment. And their relationship was very short. It was only a month, but it came under intense
Oh,
scrutiny and it was
really?
complicated because they met on the set of a music video called Love Me Like You Hate Me. It's a
Okay.
very intense music video. You're welcome to watch it in your own time. It's a little bit graphic. There's some nudity. So everyone, watch on your own time if that's something that appeals to you. It's very intense. But they
Okay.
met on the set of this music video where she's the love interest, Shia LaBeouf is the guy. So they met in the fall of 2020. And by December of 2020, FKA Twigs filed a lawsuit against Shia LaBeouf, accusing him of sexual battery, assault, and
Oh, wow.
infliction of emotional distress. And at this point, Margaret and Shia LaBeouf are dating. They are, in a relationship, and they have been photographed together.
Okay.
And so FKA Twigs files this lawsuit, and they're in the middle of dating, and they continue to date in the heat of all these claims. And
Really?
not only do they continue to date under the cover of darkness, but they are like pictured heavily making out like in the weeks and days post lawsuit, which I thought was
Interesting.
very interesting, and which is why it came under intense scrutiny, because it was like, not only did all these claims just come out against like Shia LaBeouf, but there's one of them just like heavily making out and at LAX, like against a car. Just stuff where it's like, maybe you should just like not be photographed.
Well, if we know anything about mostly celebrities, is that they're photographed when they are choosing to be photographed. So it is interesting.
Right.
It sounds like Shia LaBeouf. A lot of these abusive guys, they really know how to hook a girl.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
she was probably hooked really good by the time all this stuff came out. And he was feeding her, some lines of bullshit.
Right, right. So I want to actually get into a little bit about the lawsuit briefly.
Okay. Between FKA Twigs and Shia?
Yes, correct. Let me debrief a little bit of some of the stories in the lawsuit.
Okay.
So one of the times where he was abusive, the lawsuit mentions the fact that Shia LaBeouf was driving recklessly, and he removed his seatbelt and threatened to crash the car unless she professed her love for him. It gets crazier. After he
Okay.
stopped the car, he allegedly threw her against the car.
Wow.
Additionally, during their relationship, he tried choking FKA Twigs and knowingly gave her an STD. And they dated for about a year, by the way.
Ugh.
It's really sad. It's really dark.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrific.
So the lawsuit accuses him of, quote, a relentless abuse, both physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Shocker, shocker. I don't have some crazy hot take. This is just absolutely egregious.
I think if you've seen the movie Honey Boy, which is kind of about Shia LaBeouf's life, he had a really terrible upbringing, and I think he has a lot of demons. Obviously not an excuse, but he has a dark past, and I just think he struggles with a lot. And so back to FKA Twigs, she did an interview with Elle magazine, and she said, "What I went through with Shia was the worst thing I've been through in the whole of my life. I don't think people would ever think it would happen to me, but that's the thing, it can happen to anybody."
I think that abusive relationships, they don't start out that way, right? They start out really good. Especially a lot of times they can have higher highs, because the people that tend to be abusive tend to be those kind of manic depressives where things are so good and you're love bombed and then they're so bad.
I mean, the driving in the car recklessly and saying he's going to crash unless you say you love him, like that is just full blown. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to diagnose that. It's so extreme.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a few other facts. A woman named Carolyn Pha, a stylist who also dated Shia, also accuses the actor of abuse in the lawsuit. So she's also a part of it. So let the record state that Shia denied some of the claims in the email, but he told the New York Times that he has, quote, no excuses for my alcoholism or aggression, only rationalizations. I have been abusive to myself and everyone around me for years. I have a history of hurting the people closest to me. I am ashamed of that history, and I'm sorry to those I've hurt. And, he does deny some of it, but he says the women should have the opportunity to air their statements publicly and accept accountability for those things that I've done. So this kind of all happens, and they're still dating. They do break up about a month later, but the story really doesn't end there.
About his bad relationship with FKA Twigs. Okay.
Yeah. And, apparently her family was really concerned.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine being Andy McDowell?
No.
And finding out that this is the guy that your daughter is dating? I mean, I would have turned off all the credit cards.
Literally.
Until she was out of that relationship. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So, but the story doesn't end here, because in the following year, FKA does that piece in Elle that I spoke about briefly, and Margaret reposts the cover to her Instagram story with just the words, "Thank you."
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah.
Margaret later told Harper's Bazaar that she posted the cover because, quote, it was important to me for her to know that I believe her. And it's as simple as that, end quote. Apparently, after the piece came out, they had a conversation, FKA Twigs and Margaret, and Twigs wanted her to actually testify in the trial that happened this year. But she didn't, and she didn't want to testify. And it seems that because she didn't want to testify, obviously, this was frustrating to FKA Twigs. And there was even a moment where they ran into each other in the Bel Air Hotel and they got into a little bit of a fight about it.
Wait, FKA Twigs and Margaret Qualley did?
Yeah.
Really?
So yeah. It seems that Margaret didn't want to throw herself into the lawsuit, but they ran into each other at the Bel Air Hotel, and it's unclear who approached who. But the pair got into an intense verbal dispute over the matter in full view of the other hotel guests, to the point where even Jack Antonoff got involved and was defending Margaret.
Oh, really? Wow.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, I just think that's some interesting bit of context to Margaret Qualley and her life in the public eye.
I think that Jack Antonoff has always seemed like a really nice guy. And so I'm happy that she ended up with someone who, for all intents and purposes, seems like a really stable, nice Jewish boy.
Right. And since the trial got delayed to November of this year, I definitely will be tuning into that.
Okay, Chandler. Well, I do have something to share with you. I got a very interesting DM recently, and I would love for you to hear about this exchange I had with someone. Are you ready?
Okay. Was it hot? Was it sexy?
It was not hot. It was of a decidedly spiritual orientation. So someone named
Okay.
Spiritualist on Instagram reached out and he said, "May the peace of Alladumer God, the creators of heaven and earth, be upon you, Lauren. I am passing through your page and I saw a sign on your profile. So a vision was revealed to me about you, and the right thing to do is to pass this important message. Blessings be upon you."
Wait, hold on. What did he say? I'm passing through your page?
I was passing through your page and I saw a sign on your profile. So a vision was revealed to me about you.
I love the idea of saying that I wasn't scrolling, I was passing through their page.
I was passing through your page on
And
my
a
way
vision
to
was
other
revealed to me.
pages.
Oh my gosh, this person has a way with words.
I said, "Wow, thank you so much." And he said, "Thank you for replying to my message, Lauren. May the peace and blessings of Alladumer God be with you. Due to what was revealed to me, you're a destined child directly from birth." Okay.
Okay.
You have a bright star and a promising future, but you have not been able to shine the way you are meant to shine due to hate, envy, and jealousy from people towards you. Where you are now is not where you are meant to be. You should be greater and more successful than your present state.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, finally, someone fucking gets it. Like, I'm just like, yes, this person
Yes.
is getting a vision.
Right.
But due to some
Extracting.
spiritual blockages that have been in you for a while, you're held back. You have not been able to exceed and receive some of the greater blessings. That is why sometimes your expectations are not always as you would want them to be. And there are a lot of things that your heart desires, but you have not been able to get those things. It is all due to the blockages. And until the blockages are removed, that was when you will be able to start flourishing. Okay.
Do you feel blocked?
Actually, I think that a lot of this tracks for me. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that I should be a bigger star at this point. I mean, a star at all. So anyway, I said, "That's really so kind of you. Thank you. How do I clear the blockages?"
Yeah.
And he said, "To know how to clear those blockages, I will carry out a consultation on your behalf with Alladumer God and your great ancestors to show us the steps they want you to take in order to clear the blockages. For now, kindly give me your WhatsApp number because that's where I use mainly because of prayer calls and stability. So when I'm done with the consultation, I'll text you there."
Wait, is he saying it's literally easier for him to like get in contact with God via WhatsApp versus like IG DMs?
Essentially. So I did look up, I said, okay, why do scammers want your WhatsApp? And they want your WhatsApp because then they can get your phone number. And with your phone number, they can try to SIM swap your phone, use that number to log into your email, your bank account.
Right. This is why people also on Marketplace or whatever also ask for your phone number instantly. They're like, "Can we just text about this?" Yeah, it's the same. They're all trying to get, the same type of thing.
Yeah. So I just ignored the WhatsApp, but I still wanted to hear more about these visions. So I said, "How much is it for the consult?" I did cut right to the chase. He said, "My dear, I don't charge for consultations, but if I carry out the consultation and what is revealed to me involves money, I will let you know."
He's like, "Don't bring money into this. This is like this is a higher calling."
So I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. This is what I said. I said, "Wow, that's so nice. I think I used to feel blocked in a lot of ways, but I'm gradually letting go of the judgments of others so that I can be better." And he said, "Okay, my dear, that's great. I will carry out the consultations to know the steps needed to permanently clear the blockages." And I said, "Thank you. That would be amazing." And so then he called me and I talked to him.
You're kidding. You talked to him on the phone?
I did.
What the hell? I was like, this was humoring me because it was just like a text exchange, but you had a video call with this man? Was it a FaceTime or was it an audio?
It was an audio call on Instagram because he said he had carried out the consultation and he had visions to share and I wanted to hear the vision. So anyway, what he said literally is that the vision was that there needed to be some sacrifices for my blockages to be cleared. And it was like 5 goats.
It was animal sacrifices.
Animal sacrifices needed to be carried out.
No wonder you're in Utah next to all that like wildlife. No wonder. Interesting.
And he did have an accent where I do think that he was somewhere like in Africa. So it was kind of hard to understand, to be honest. But he was like, my villagers, essentially, we can carry out this sacrifice on your behalf.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like, we just need you to pay for the animals.
Right.
So I was like, how much
What's
is this
the
going to
total?
be? Do you want to guess how much it was?
$5,000.
$8,000.
Oh my gosh. So you paid him. So you did it.
So I sent him the money immediately. I was like, cheap. No. So what happened is that I was like, it's too expensive. I can't afford the sacrifice, but thank you anyway. And he proceeded to call me like 100. I have so many screenshots of them just constantly calling me and then sending me all these messages. And he says, my dear, you are very unserious about your life. I'm here to look over you and help you. You are not serious. My fellows have arrived at my place. They have been here since yesterday and you're not replying. I'm a respectful person, as are my fellows, and I've never been disrespected like this before. I already told you earlier that if it's about the money, you can talk to me. We'll find a way to fix it. Why am I texting you? That is while I was praying today. Your ancestors and Aldermere God revealed something that is important else that you need to know. So I did block him, and then I restricted my DMs. Now are flooded on my personal account. Basically, it always shows there's new DMs coming through. I think because of that, like, I think I'm on some sort of list now of like, this is a sucker who applies to us.
Right. Dang.
So anyway, guys, do not be tempted if someone DMs you that they have a vision for your life to indulge yourself in hearing about these fantasies, because your DMs will be blown up ever since.
I'm just going to say I can tell that you're still blocked, and I'm sad for our podcast that you didn't invest in getting unblocked. So we're going to suffer because of it.
It's a small price to pay. If all the peace and blessings that are, in store for me are just, it's only $8,000.
It's like the price of a nose job.
It's like nothing.
Permanently unblocked.
A nose job maybe in 2002. Well, Chandler, I love you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thank you for having me on this podcast that we share together.
You guys, this week on Patreon, I don't know if you can tell, but we feel like we're scraping from the bottom of the barrel in terms of pop culture content. So we're going to do a little anonymous Q&A. I'm going to put up a post on Instagram. So if you're interested in asking us a question, we're going to do an anonymous Q&A. And then to support the pod, go to casitajewelry.com, use code POPAPOLOGIST, 30% off site-wide through August 31st. And enjoy Portugal, Chan.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. That's all for now, folks. Don't forget, give us a 5-star review, hit us up on Instagram at PopApologists, and we will see you next week, live every Wednesday.